Hey, what are you doing, Phils? I wanted to come on and talk to my empty nesters today because I know the feeling that you have when, especially the last one finally leaves the house. And even if you only have one and they leave the house, it's a devastating feeling. Most of the time we spend the whole part of our lives from the time they're born until the time they leave out focused on them. Even if we're married or even if we're single, it's probably a little bit easier when you're married than when you're single, but you still get the same pain whether you're single or not or married when the child leaves. And now you have to start trying to figure out what it is to do with your life, especially if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're a mom that your entire life for the past 20 years has been focused on the children, making sure that you took them where they had to go and everything was centered around them. And now that they're leaving. Now, most of us, we do have kind of like an idea of when they may be leaving, but not always. I kind of did with my daughter. Like, well, when my daughter left, she was leaving to go to college. So I had already had my mind set on her going to college. Like we had visited the college. I had been there a couple of times. Everything was centered around her going to college. We bought her a car so she can have while she's in college. And then right when it was time for her to go to college, she made the decision she wasn't going. Like, I'm not going to college. It was just like, wait, what? Why not? And she's just like, I don't want to. And then she had been working since she was 16 because she just wanted to work. She didn't have to work, but she wanted to work. So she was working since she was 16 years old. So she just announced one day, well, I'm moving. I'm moving out on my own. I want to have my own stuff so I can, live my own life, because I think what happened, she had a boyfriend and she didn't move in with a boyfriend, she got on an apartment, but you know, the we wasn't letting the boyfriends stay the night at the house. That wasn't gonna happen. If he did come to the house, he wasn't going in a room. He was sitting in the living room. He was, it was just she wanted a little bit more freedoms than what we were willing to give to her. So she went and got her own apartment. And my son, when he got turned 18, he went away to college. So they both, and they're a year apart. They're exactly a year apart. They're one month, one day, and 1 year apart from each other. So right away, I was hit with both of them, just completely gone. But you know what? I was kind of prepared mentally for it because I left. I left when I was young. I left right after college. I graduated from college. I came home. I finished school in. I graduated in May. I worked that summer because I didn't want. I mean, I stayed home that summer because I didn't want a job because I figured that was the last summer I get to not work for the rest of my life. So I enjoyed that summer. In September, I went out and I got a job. And October, I moved out the house. My first paycheck, I moved out the house. So I know how I was expecting it, but just don't really be prepared for it. You're just like, what do you do? But the thing is, usually, I mean, you're gonna always be the kid's mom, so they're gonna always call you and always need you for something. I called my mother every single day for from the time I was older. Like the time I left out of the house, it was not a day that didn't go by that I didn't call my mother at least once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, depends. But I called my mother all the time. I was always calling my mother up until she passed away. She passed away actually the day after my birthday in 2017. Um, my birthday is May 24th. She died in my arms on May 25th, the day after. I was just glad she didn't die on my birthday. I'm glad she waited to day afterwards because it would be bad to have your mother die on your birthday. But anyway, my kids keep in touch. My children call me all the time too. I'm very happy for the relationship that I have with my children. So, um, but a lot of times when we get to when it's at that stage, we don't know what to do. We just boggle. So I just kind of wanted to give you a couple of tips and hips or things that might be helpful for you. First of all, the most important thing I think that helps us out is the mindset. we got to get out of mindset. I'm in a lot of these empty nester groups, and a lot of times, and the mindset is, oh, woe is me, what I'm going to do with my life. I'm so sad. I'm depressed. I call my kids all the time. They don't call me. Now, the reason they're not calling is because you are calling them all the time. They need to have that sense of independence. They need to have that sense of them. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just talking from what I believe or what I feel. That they need that independence. They need to know that they can do this on their own. And if you don't hound them and sweat them and why you don't call, why you don't come by, like you feel and you see needy, it happens with any kind of relationship. If you're a needy person in a relationship, the person that you're clinging on to be needy, they be like, whoa. Just think about you in any relationship. If you're in a relationship with a guy that's clingy, like, oh, where you at? Call me. Or you, that girl that go to guys, be like, oh, call me. Why you ain't call me? Why you ain't? Nobody wants that type of person in their life. So don't be that mom. Just be cool, chill out, let them live their life because they are going to call you. If you've been a good mom, they are definitely going to call you. They are definitely going to come by. Now, if they move far away or if they're away at school and they can't come by except on certain times, holidays or when they go to school, then you know they're going to be there during that time. So don't rile yourself up. Don't go through a depression. Just start focusing on positive things. Focus on things that you can do because you can't force your children to call you. So we got to start focusing only on things that we have control over. If you focus on only things that you have control over, life would be so much simpler. I learned that a long time ago. You can't focus. If you can't control it, it's no need to focus on it. It's no need to stress yourself out over it. And you can't control other people. And you can't do anything to try to control them because that'll just stress you out. What you can do is control yourself. Learn how to control the things that's around you. So what you can do, if you do have a child that never calls, then you can call them every so often, not 10 times a day. And don't say why you don't call me when you call them, because nobody likes to be blamed for anything. Just say, hey, I'm just calling to check on you, see how you're doing, and that's it. Just call them and say what's going on. You can tell them about what's going on with you, what's happening with you, and that type of thing, like you have a regular conversation. But don't stress them. And don't feel clingy and needy, because then they're not going to want to come around. And then they probably say, like, oh, mom, and then hang the phone up and don't call you back. So you can't do all that. But it comes with the mindset. So you have to change your mindset and just be positive. The second thing is you got to do something else. Okay, that stage of your life is over. You no longer have to worry about you. You did your job. You raised them, and now they're responsible adults. They're out in the world and taking care of themselves. And so pat yourself on the back. Good job. So now you got to go on to the next stage. Find yourself something to do. Keep you busy. Find something that will help you. Like find a hobby. Get some girlfriends. It's hard to find new girlfriends usually at our age. But hopefully you kept in touch with somebody as a girlfriend that you can hang out with now and do things with. One of the things that I started doing is once that stage is over, I start focusing on building legacy. If you follow me on my Facebook page, I talk about building legacy for your children because I think that's what should be next. We did our job as far as raising them, but now we have to build a legacy because what happens is we're getting older and we are in our midlife, whether you want to admit it or not. I'm 56 years old. I had children later in life. I didn't have my first child until I was 33 years old. So I'm 56 now. Okay. And so, I'm not delusional. I always say I have maybe 40 summers left. Right. So I have to start planning for that. I have to start thinking of ways that I can create additional money so I can build a legacy. Because if I'm no longer here, I want my children and my children's children to be taken care of at all times. And I know now that things are getting really tough and tight for a lot of people. And most people, the average person do not have millions of dollars stashed somewhere. Most people don't have a nest egg. We may be empty nesters, but we don't have a nest egg. So as an empty nester, it's time to start building your nest egg for your children and your children's children. That's what we need to focus on. Start finding a side hustle, something that you can do that would, bring additional money. Because the truth is, I don't even care what kind of, how many times you, or how much money you have saved. If you work at a budget, you get to save an extra $100, $200 a month that you could put aside somewhere. That's never going to actually be enough to create a legacy. It's just not. It might be enough to, uh, if something should happen to you, it'd be enough to pay for a nice funeral and maybe give your child the extra couple of dollars to spend on something. But my goal, and I think every parent's goal should be, it's what the Bible tells us to do. It says the a man should build an inheritance for his children's and his children's children. So that means building something like residual income, something where money is coming in on a regular. I always think about that movie about a boy. It's a movie with oh, I can't think of that guy's name right now. I like him. He's a English actor. Anyway, he his father in the movie, the character Hugh Grant, his father in the movie wrote a play Christmas song, and that he was a one-hit wonder, but he made a Christmas song that did well. And every year around Christmas time, this song is played, and so he gets residual income. He lives his entire life off of the residual income of a record that his father made. Now that's a legacy. His father made one record that the father's passed away now, and the son was old. He's in his 30s or 40s, and he's lived his entire life off of the residual income from this record that his father created, this Christmas song. That's what I always want to do for my children. I want to create that type of thing. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, that would make your child lazy. You don't have to do anything. No, it doesn't. That gives your child the ability to do whatever it is he or she wants to do. They can live a life of purpose because they don't have to stress or be concerned about where their next money is coming from. I wish somebody had done that for me. Now, my parents had they left me some money. It's five of us, but actually one was deceased before my parents. So the money was split between four of us, but it really was, I mean, I'm grateful for it, but it wasn't anything that you could, retire off. There's no residual income. It was a decent amount of money. We were able to bury them nicely and have a couple of dollars over for ourselves. So it was a blessing, but it was in residual income. It wasn't a legacy. I want to build a legacy for my children, and that's what I'm doing now. And if you are interested, then you can hit me up and find out what I'm doing, because I'm actually looking for people who want to build that legacy too. But those are the things you need to do. You need to focus on changing your mindset and get a new project. Get a new project, something else to focus on, and get your mind off the fact that your children are no longer there. If you're in a marriage, you can focus on making your marriage stronger, because like when I was married, when I first got married, I got pregnant like almost immediately after I got married. So I was a mother as long as I was a wife. Like it literally was hand in hand pretty much. So once the kids left out the house, then then you can focus more on each other. So if that's what your thing is, your goal is to focus on your marriage, that's great. But you have to have some kind of project. You have to change your mindset in a project. My suggestion would be to start building a legacy, because keeps you busy, it keeps you focused, and it's a real strong purpose, because you get to really focus on doing something the next stage for your children. But I'm doing Phil's. I'm gonna be coming up here regularly, giving some tips and tips on being an empty nester and creating a legacy. All right, have a good day. Bye-bye.